week as well. And I'll also make sure to check the revision worksheets and put the peer partners for that on there. And that also will check that discussion question, the discussion post as well for you to post it. That the formatting sometimes it can be a little bit tricky based on how it was set and things like that. But I want to go ahead and let's look at the module. Let's see for this week. So we are week 11. Okay. So it says it's due the 30th, the discussion post board. And see if it's threaded or unthreaded or what it's saying here. It's not graded because it's just a post. Okay, so I say it's available from. Yeah, so I think that's what I put it because to have a due date on it. I will go ahead and just put that it is available as of Monday for you to view this and then add to do because it wasn't a graded A assignment that and really I probably did put it as the 30th MAC, but um because that was probably, the due date because I was trying to set a due date without putting it as graded. Since it's not actually graded. Um, I'm gonna fix these, and then we'll look at also the assignment itself and the revision worksheet. Let's see. All right. And if you still haven't done the outline, it looks like there are a few students that are still missing the outline. Just make sure to do that as well. Um, let's see. Do y'all have any questions so far? I know, Mac, you had one about the um the discussion post, and I probably did actually set it that way because it was not graded. Um, do y'all have any questions so far while I fix the discussion post, and then we'll take a look at the partners for the revision worksheet and things like that. Yasmaine?
Yeah,
Yasmaine?
so yes, I'm just a bit confused on the like exactly how we're supposed to like where are we supposed to get the sources to construct the thematic analysis. So I watched the video that you posted and it was talking about like transcripting and then creating themes and codifying them. So I just want to know if you could go into more specifics on how we could codify like in the first paragraph you told us to codify the I think the exact Facebook source. Could you just go
Right.
into a bit more detail about that when we're discussing the essay?
Yeah, so you like I said, you would be using Facebook and that the graph that you found, and I can go back through and show you how I found that you can find charts that would match your findings on Facebook, and that you'll be basing a lot of your analysis just on that. But yeah, finding the coding and the themes and patterns would just be from your findings from those profiles itself. So you wouldn't you if you want to bring in additional resources, that you can, but it's not required other than Facebook itself, the profiles, and looking at their the posts, their videos, interaction with other politicians. I know that even Kane brought up looking at their policies and on in terms of um, what is considered to be I guess showing like political correctness and things like that on Facebook, or what they if they deem anything to be expressing inequality or bias, that there are certain policies you could research about Facebook. And then there's that article about the algorithm in Facebook. You could refer to that even, and then obviously the when we looked at the graph, you just type in, I think I just typed in Facebook, and media bias, and then I found, there are specific graphs that connect to, their bias towards a certain generation of people. And I know a lot of students have been writing about how they feel like, that they are more geared to one political side or the other. So there is some inequality there, is what some people are gathering, based on the postings that they see, um, and and so forth. So, um, looking for those types of things, just finding patterns, based on the data you collect from the Facebook, and then connecting that to that chart and graph is essentially the all you really need to do for the paper. Yes. Excuse me?
Oh, yes, sorry. So in my outline, I like said that I would in the first paragraph, I said that I was codifying data from an article that talked about it. So, and then when I looked back, I saw that you meant the actual Facebook source itself. So would I have to would it help if you looked at my outline and see like where I was thinking?
Sure, but that, I mean, you can, if you do codify from, if it's easier for you to do that from an article, that you can, and you still have evidence from the Facebook, that you are more than welcome to do that as well. So you can still, if you use that article, and then you can still find an example from the Facebook that backs up the article, and that you can still use that as well. So that, I mean, that's okay. You would not have to
Oh,
redo the
okay.
assignment.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Did you still want me to check for that as well, though? Did you want me to just look at it, your outline?
Sure, but if that would waste like the class time, maybe we could do it another time if you'd like.
Okay, but yeah, it sounds like, I mean, that's great that you found an outside source. And like I say, if it's easier for you to codify information from an article, which it probably would, and that's why there is that NPR article that I had, as well, that will help you, to, kind of see what the opinion is about the algorithm and whatnot. So if it's easier for you to find an article, I just didn't want you to feel like you had to find an article, but it will make it easier to write about it if you do use the article to codify it and whatnot as well, and find patterns, and then just find examples from the profiles themselves that back that up, and that's all you really have to do.
Okay. When when do you think that you could perhaps meet with me and like discuss if I'm going right with the outline?
Um, well, I can, I'll just, I can, stop sharing the screen for the 1 second. I know that there's a lot on here, but I can just do that while we are on here really quickly. Are you in the 5.5 or the 5.6?
Yes. I'm
Five
in
five.
5.5, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. Okay. All right. Just getting it to pull up here. So yeah, I mean, that looks really good. It's very well organized. Your goals that are clearly defined. Um, and you have a clear citation in it as well. I don't think that you have to. No, this is a minor thing, but I don't believe you would have to italicize the Metropolitan Community College media bias. And I don't think you would have to, but if that's the source, then, I still don't think you would have to do that. If it's an article title, you put it in quotes. If it is an actual, like, journal or a book, then you would need to italicize it. That's good that you have clear examples, and then you said you're gonna extract Facebook data through the evaluation of a political profile to recognize misinformation. So you give step by step what you're gonna do. Further explains the disproportionate. And, that you say that you'll evaluate an article that describes this phenomenon and further explains the disproportionality. So I would really focus on that as well.
Yeah,
And then
that's my main focus throughout the thesis.
yes, I would just mainly you could just mainly focus on that in the paper, and you already have that article, and so all you would really need to do is just to pinpoint examples from the profiles that tie into that, and that's really because that you already it looks like you already codified all the information from that article, and that connects to the assignment. And if y'all want to as well, just use that NPR article or another article that ties into the algorithm in Facebook or media bias based on politics, then you could codify that information, then just tie in the information from um, the Facebook itself. And like I said, I know the graph is important as well. I just feel like you should be able to find a graph, and I will go back over because I know if there are any of y'all were not here last week. Was anyone not here last week and didn't see how I found the graphs on here? I was going to show you. Did anyone not see how I found the graph for the assignment, or need me to go back over it? I'll just go back over it one more time. Um, so let's see. So basically, if you just type in Facebook media bias and something general like this, and then of course you would, and that's where I found that article too. And you'll find just this search alone, you'll find information like that's the article that we had for the assignment. This one is called "The Facts Behind Allegations of Political Bias on Social Media." Any of these you could. The right-wing bias, a macro study confirms that it's about Facebook. So you'll just find some good things. And also, this one's from Indiana University, political bias on social media. So you'll find a lot of good sources that for MLA, you're looking for, if you're looking for article websites, you're looking for .edu or .gov or .org as credible sources. So there's an edu, .gov, and .org all right here. But you just click on images. This is how like I have found. Let's see. I'm trying to remember the exact phrasing because last time I found even more than this. Let's see how. Let's see. Maybe even type in algo. Okay. Well, even here's one here. Last time I searched, I found a little bit more specific. Even you could use something like this as a chart that says, many Facebook users say they do not know the platform classifies their interests, and roughly half are not comfortable with being categorized. And so I know this just has to do with the algorithm. It's not necessarily politics, but that's still interesting to know. I remember how I found that last time because there was this is actually a social media policy analysis. That's also okay. You can even type in if you're looking for see if and there's any charts. There's more charts when I typed in. I guess even fake news is a real problem. Whereas this was from it was Hillary's ISIS email. That has to be kind of old, but that's still something you could use. And total Facebook engagement for top 20 election stories. That's also interesting. Even if it was something from a while ago, you could still bring that in and say how the fake news is a real problem if you that was your stance or um let's see, that's not exclusively Facebook though, that one. And this one says Facebook hosted surge of misinformation and insurrection threats. So that actually has to do with January 6th. And let's see. Maybe it's maybe more specific to type in election 2024 media bias. Yeah, I think that's where I found something like that on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. You could even if it brings in other ones, if it still has Facebook in it. So that one, this is a little bit more specific to search Facebook election in 2024 and media bias. So that brought up this, and even though it does have other platforms on here, you could use this to compare and contrast. This looks like it'd be pretty good. It's a .org. And so politics takes a backseat to entertainment connections because it's entertaining. 76% for Facebook to connect with others who share their interests. 74%. So that is basically saying that the politics is being not as emphasized. So that's still an agenda there too. If like Facebook is and these other platforms are trying to kind of not promote politics and promote other things that are distracting, well, that's a form of bias too, because that's obviously that if they're not promoting the politics enough, then people are not going to be informed enough to make a decision about who to vote for or anything like that. So that is in of itself, ironically, it's its own bias as well. So you found that you don't think they're promoting it enough or you don't see enough ads or whatnot on the Facebook. I know I've seen some. I really in this election I have not even I've seen a few ads on TV and I don't watch TV quite as much, I guess, but I mean I see ads on the news channels some, but I don't really I guess even the ads on the TV has not been as much, but I do see it on Facebook some and definitely Facebook and of course Instagram, I think that's a different at least I don't really know, I guess whatever I subscribe to on Instagram, I don't really notice it as much on there. And I'm sure Twitter would also be another platform that would be good to evaluate because that's where a lot of the politicians engage as well. But like with that polling, if that was really true and you felt like they're not really emphasizing politics as much, well, that is also a form of bias as well. And you could compare Facebook to other platforms there in your paper as shown in that as well. Of course, focusing on Facebook, but you could bring up how they compare to others. And this is the chart that I found last time. That Facebook seems to be so X stands out as a place to get its users go to keeping up with the politics. I believe well, I found something similar to it. This once again is navigate politics on TikTok, X, Facebook, and Instagram. For certain platforms, U.S. users who say a reason they use it is to keep up with politics or political issues. And we see Facebook is pretty low on the list here. That means a lot of people are not logging into Facebook for politics. They are logging into Twitter. And like I said, you could still see it looks like more people there's a little bit more people that are logging into TikTok instead of Facebook and Instagram. But that's kind of unusual though, because if you think about it, that Facebook is more like a site. I know it's like it was more popular in the mid early 2000s, mid early to mid 2000s, but it's more of a place you go to, check on your friends or your family and whatnot. And it's more of a place you would think that you will probably be on there for look at some political things because there are political profiles. But so that is interesting. It's kind of ironical that they would just go to Twitter. Because I do know that the politicians do. I know there was a big issue back, I think in 2020 that they actually think shut down Donald Trump's Twitter or something like that because he was actually on it, I believe. So I guess there is more engagement on the Twitter, but this is just people going to check out politics. It doesn't look like Facebook is as engaging as much as TikTok or Twitter. So that's also interesting to note. And like it just depends on your search too. Um, and like as you can see, that at least this search brought up some things you could use um, in your paper for that charter graph, the Facebook election 2024 media bias. Um, did bring that up. And then this is another one. This is social media traffic to news sites driven by platforms other than Facebook and Twitter. And we see that statistic as well. Do y'all have any questions about finding the graph and connecting that in an article if you prefer to use an article to help you write your paper? All right, y'all able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and just take a look at the revision worksheet. So I will update that. I'll probably just do that after the meeting because I have not posted the peer review partners and whatnot. So I will update this, but this does kind of just go over, how to write your paper. There's always the first part is always looking first for grammar mechanics. I really recommend that you read the paper one time, just looking for grammar and mechanics. And then I recommend, so I realize that the numbers are incorrect on this worksheet too, so I'm going to fix that. So the first section is always grammar and mechanics. Then you want to read it again, looking for formatting to make sure that it is in MLA format, and also looking for concision as well. So actually, we're looking for grammar, mechanics, format, and then just review it for wordiness. So looking for phrasal verbs or prepositional phrases that are not really needed. Sometimes you need prepositional phrases, other just wordy phrases like that contains words like everything, thing, something that are vague. So vague words or words that are repeated. Just looking for any sort of indication of wordiness in your paper. And then and then read it again one more time for the content and the organization of the paper. And so for the way to cite here, that you would just cite the article title or the author's last name when bringing in a citation. That I don't expect you to have to cite the page for this because it's more of you're looking at a platform. But if you at least if you know the author's last name, cite it, or just write the title, or if it's all it's Facebook, you would just put you would italicize Facebook and put that in brackets if you really did not know another way to cite it. You could always even just put Facebook in brackets. And if it's an article within Facebook, which really, unless it was something that was posted that was an article, then of course you would just put the title of the article. And so, or it is an actual article you bring into the paper, you just write the title of the article and the page number if known. As long as you at least write the article title, that's all you really need to do for this assignment. And so also one thing that I wanted to go over was claims of fact, policy, or value. So in an analytical paper that when you look at a claim of value, you are saying, so a claim of value is like saying that that one thing is inherently better than something else. So it's a claim of value. If you're comparing Facebook to Instagram and you feel like Facebook has a better policy for politics or just advertises it in a more efficient way, then you'd be saying that the reason why that Facebook is better than Instagram. A claim, a policy, you're making a claim trying to enact change. Like if you feel the Facebook they need to look at their policies and change it, and you want to make a claim based on why you think they need to change their policies, um, based on how they present politics, then that would be a claim of policy if you're actually wanting to enact change. And a claim of fact is just what it is. It's a known fact that a claim itself in a paper can be an opinion, a fact, or a belief. And so I did want to make sure to go over that because that I know that's in the PowerPoint, so I know I put a lot of information in the PowerPoints, but when you have time, just look at them because I put, all the essential knowledge that you need for knowing what a claim is, a thesis statement, that's all in those PowerPoints to help you learn it as well. And there are different types of, thesis statements as well. There's analytical thesis statements. Those are probably some of the more common thesis statements. Like I said, there are several different types of thesis statements. So an analytical thesis statement is a statement that explains why um, um, the topic's being analyzed in an analytical essay, what parts of the analysis will be included, and the order in which the analysis will be presented. So that is one of the most fairly commonly used analytical essays. Oh, sorry, analytical thesis statements for an analytical paper. So, for instance, if you are writing about college admissions, and so you could say whether an analysis of the college admission process reveals one challenge facing counselors accepting students with high test scores or students with strong extracurricular backgrounds. And so it would be basically, evaluating those things and making a judgment based on, who should be admitted into the school. Things like that are important as well. Like I said, there are a lot of different types of thesis statements, and we'll talk more about thesis statements too when we get into the research paper. For this particular paper, you do want to clear a thesis based on your opinion of whether you believe Facebook is really trustworthy, based on how they present politics, and whether you think that their site actually shows media bias. So that's really the focus, is your opinion, and your opinion based on all the data you've collected, and the patterns you've seen, just viewing the website and researching it, whether you think that this particular website shows media bias. That's pretty much all. It's just a clear stance. It is your stance on the issue, and you can back it up with evidence from the findings that you have. And let's see. We go back to the actual paper too here, because I know I looked at the revision worksheet. Let's see. Okay, so this is the paper. It's due October 27th. So that is 5 days from now. And so once again, you just follow these points, make a list of criteria to evaluate the available data on the media profile, make code phrases and then themes such as uncertainty, trust of expert, certainty. So just make note of things as you see them and just label them, and that way you'll remember, and just make note of where you found it. So you could even put it on note cards, or, put columns on a paper and just try to map out whatever your findings are. If you can print some of the things you see, that would be great too, to remember it. You don't have to, but that's also a suggestion. Or, save it in your think your bookmark it on your internet platform, your yes, Firefox or whatever type of um internet you're using, or the regular internet, or whichever one you're using, just bookmark it. And then include a chart, graph, or interview that can be used to explain the data in the second body paragraph. So I did put chart or graph or interview. If you found an interview with like a politician that you think is more effective than the chart or the graph, then you could use that. And chart or graph or interview. So I did put interview if you really don't want to have to use a graph. Because you should be able to find, if you type in any presidential candidate or any politician interview with NBC or one of Fox News or whoever it is, CNN, you should be able to probably find that. And even if all you can find is a video, if you did document the video as an interview, then that you could use that possibly as well. And then identify the most effective methods to evaluate Facebook's political authenticity based on the data you have collected in your thesis statement. So that's what you'll do in the 3 body paragraph. So why I wrote it in this way is so that you can map out, this will help you just kind of map out the 3 main body paragraphs. So in the first one, you're really focusing on um, that charter graph. And the second paragraph, you're going to continue that analysis of your findings. And then you want to make sure that you really hone in on the authenticity in the last body paragraph as well. So just doing all these things in your paper will make it easier for you to write your paper. And so, and then once again, more specifically, the first body paragraph should describe the methodologies used to evaluate the matter. Evidence will come directly from Facebook by evaluating the discourse community. If you do want to bring in an article like Usmain did, that is fine too. So if you want to, whatever research you do, if you want to, whatever, as long as it, it is something you could document, and it is credible, then you can use it. But do give examples from actually Facebook as well. Use the following methods to evaluate in the first part of the paragraph as follows. Evaluate the data you glean through researching how ads tied to the profiles, community interaction, and other modes tied to the algorithms are shown. The second body paragraph, sorry, include a chart, graph, or interview. So yeah, actually, I guess I meant for some reason I thought, I don't know, might have put in the outline the oh yeah, so you actually start with just an overview, and then you document the graph or the interview or the chart. Excuse me on that. So yeah, the first one you're just talking about the methods you plan to use and bringing in some evidence, and then the second body paragraph is when you bring in that chart, graph, or interview. Like I said, if you would actually prefer to find a written interview with a politician or document one from a YouTube interview with a politician, you could do that as well. Um, and then you use another scholarly article to back up your findings as well. You can do that. Then include the chart, graph, or interview from within or outside of the profile that can connect to and explain the data you have collected in the second body paragraph. Include clear citations in MLA format for the evidence. And then in the third body paragraph, explain how the methods and statistics use connect to the algorithm in depth. So you're just going to go and explain any loopholes if you found any loopholes, but just go into more detail. Explain how the visual data from any scholarly articles, interviews, statistics, and other methods proved your point. And then, of course, in the conclusion, you just explain how these illustrations proved your point. And so I tried to map it out like this. So you have your introductory paragraph that you get your reader's attention and try to you could ask a question or make an interesting statement that ties into your research to draw them in. And then you want to just give context. Why are you writing this paper? What is it about? Identifying those terms, and then mapping out the main idea in each body paragraph. And then stating your stance about how you personally feel about Facebook. You do not, I mean, you don't need to use the first person, but just state, your stance without using the first person as to your opinion of whether they are biased or not in terms of the way that they present their media. So basically, that's all you're doing in terms of the politics. And then you'll map out, obviously, after that, you start mapping out the three main body paragraphs, and you always have a topic sentence. You have some context, state a claim, bring in evidence, and conclude in each um, paragraph. And that is what you would want to try to do. And try to at least bring in one or two citations. Um, and so that's basically just an overview. And so I really encourage you just to focus on this when you're looking at this. That of course you want to know how you map out the introduction, but this will help you to kind of know what to focus on in the body paragraphs. And then in the conclusion paragraph, then you just explain how the illustrations proved your point. Use main.
Yes, sorry for interrupting, but could you explain the third what you want us to do in the third paragraph in a bit more in depth?
So you just want to really focus on you could so if let's say you're using an article or you're looking at that chart, you could either compare that chart graph or statistic or finding that you had to other statistics, or if you are working with an article, just go into more depth into that article that you're using and explaining how that that data or any data you've gathered, really this paragraph, if there's that one article you're using in the first two body paragraphs to help you, any other data you've collected as well along the way, that you could start mentioning that and explaining that, because that will show how much evidence you have used to try to bring your argument home, that you have more than one article, that you've seen this in multiple places. You could, obviously document other interviews or statistics or information from other social media platforms that connect to the issues seen on Facebook that you've found. So that would just be more of like a compilation of all the research you've done, and you'd be more or less just focusing on that article or the chart, obviously here in the second paragraph. And this is more of an explanation of how you're going to engage in the discourse community, and if you do have the article, introduce it in the first body paragraph.
So just to recap, so here we introduce any like news sources that also contribute to our general argument.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So just add in any more data. You could add in another graph for visual data or other articles or other interviews just to show, or you could just say, well, I've also seen this on another platform about this, or it could be like a tweet or a comment, even on another platform, that's showing that this is still what is somebody's commenting about Facebook somewhere else, or maybe in another part of Facebook that you found about politics, that you could bring in other examples on Facebook that you saw that you didn't discuss earlier as well.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have any questions about the paper? And it's a standard 5-paragraph essay. And so yeah, this week that you just have, and the discussion post, that's only if you want to review your own paper. Sorry, if you want someone else to review your paper, excuse me. If you want to just review your own paper for the revision, then you don't have to post on the discussion post. You just submit your worksheet and then the paper. That's all you have to do. And I will, after this meeting, I will update peer partners for the revision worksheet as well. And I do encourage you to use tutor.com as well for this assignment to help you review. And I'll try to post that extra credit opportunity too if you use tutor.com to the worksheet, because I know it's not currently on there. Does anyone else have any questions? And so next week we'll start kind of, so there's just a little mini project, and then there's the revision of SA3. And I'll probably start just going over the research project in a little bit more detail. And week by week, we'll kind of spend more time on the PowerPoints in these meetings, just talking about rhetoric and whatnot that will connect to the research paper. So that when we get to the research paper, that will be better for you as well to have more time. And I think tomorrow I may try to reach out to the librarian, just because I know she has videos in the past. I think this probably still the same video, but I'll still reach out to her because usually she has compiled a video of how to research at JSCC using the online library. And so that way I'll post that again if it's updated, if it's a little bit different. I think I might have had one on here, but I will verify with her so that when we get to researching that you can watch the guided video that will help you, and then I'll also show you the library virtually, and we'll talk about how to find articles and things like that on it. And like I said, as long you want to use the JSCC online library as much as possible, but as long as it is at .org, .edu, .gov, those are all credible sources. So, as long as it's one of those, that is a credible source according to MLA. .com can have some credibility to it, but it's just still not certain that someone could have still gone in there and put information that's not valid. .net is also not validated either. But like I said, we'll spend a lot of time on how to research and more on the PowerPoints too as we get into the information on the paper. Do y'all have any other questions? And I'll post this as well for you to go back and review. And so next week, we'll talk. So next week, if you would like the extra credit for the revision, then that's what we'll do in the meeting. So we may not get as much to the PowerPoints and whatnot as much. We'll probably just dive into that more the next week if we do because next week is the major revision class. So if you would like the extra credit, I'll go over your paper, and I will be working on your outlines. Definitely, starting tomorrow, I'm going to be getting those back to you to help you, because I know we have 5 days until your paper. So I'm going to try to get all of your outlines back to you, so that you have that for your paper as well. And for the revision too, if obviously I'm probably not gonna have time to get up to all the actual papers by then, but if the revision is ever due, well, the revision is actually due, it's gonna be due probably the end of next week, so hopefully I'll be able to get all those papers back to you by then. But if for some reason I'm not able to, like earlier, you can always just use the questions to review your paper, as well, because it does kind of go over all of that. And the major revision of SA3 is due the 30th. So like I said, that I will probably have only had time to get through all the outlines. I'll be working on those papers, but if I hadn't gotten back to your paper, I will be trying to get them back as soon as I can. But it does take me a little bit longer for the longer papers. If you really urgently need your paper reviewed because you feel like you do not know what to revise without me reviewing it, just send me a message and I will go out of my way to try to grade it before the other papers if needed. But you should still be able to revise it based on the questions and the revision, and using the tutor.com as well. So I will meet next week to do the major revision, and I hope that y'all have a great weekend. And if you have any questions, just let me know. If you can, email me it's the 800367631 at alabama.edu email, or you can always call me or contact me by phone. You have my number as well if you need it. And like I said, I hope y'all have a great weekend, and I will see y'all next Tuesday.
You too.